Hello and welcome to this proof of concept demo of the EU vaccination certificate being encoded and printed onto a MyFair Classic 1K card using the Zebra ZC300 printer. This JSON here is a representation of the EU vaccination certificate template, which has been released recently and contains pertinent information about the patient, as well as the disease or agent they have been vaccinated against, information about when they received the vaccination and who that vaccine was produced by, as well as a link back to who issued this vaccine and their identifier so that this credential can be verified. Once we've created this credential, the next step we need to do is to encode this on a card. For simplicity's sake, in the demo, I'm using an existing Zebra application called Print Studio, and I've pre-populated 4 vaccination certificates into these rows that you can see here. These first 2 rows are the vaccination certificates with a passport photo on them, and these are identical on the face of things, but the data being encoded in the card, one is valid and one is invalid. We have the same thing here with the next 2 rows, one is valid and one is invalid, but on the face of things they look the exact same, the difference being here obviously that there is no passport photo. So if we select all of these records and then print these out on our Zebra printer, we'll be able to see this happening in real time over here. So we have the printer on the desk here, and it's just preparing to send this data to the printer. Now the card is being encoded, and this takes around 10 to 15 seconds depending on the amount of data. And then, as we'll see in a moment, the card itself will be printed. So here we have the first card. You can see there the card has been printed with the design that we showed in the program earlier, and there is the same information encoded inside the card, which determines if this is a valid vaccination certificate or an invalid certificate. So we just wait for the remaining cards to be encoded and printed. So we've just finished printing the final card here. So we now have 4 different vaccination cards down here. We have one with a photo that is valid, one without a photo that is valid, and then one with the photo and without the photo, and these should both be invalid. So now the final stage is to prove that these vaccine credentials are either valid or invalid, and in order to do that I have a preloaded Android app here. So if I move this over to the screen so you can see, when I present this first card, so this is one without the passport photo, when I present this card to the device, we can see there that the vaccination credentials have been read and they've been determined to be invalid. So now if I leave this card over here and I bring the other card into view, so this is the exact same card on the face of things, the appearance, but if I was to do the same verification process with this card, we can see that the data encoded inside the card has been deemed to be valid. And we can repeat this process again with the card with the passport photo on it. So if we scan this card and allow the verification process to complete, you can see that this one is invalid, which means that this final card here should be valid. Scan the card, and we can see that that is valid. So we have 4 cards here, and on the face of things they all look very similar, but the important thing is that the data behind them is what determines if the card is valid or invalid.